Thank you, Mr. President. Now, pray silence for the Spanish Ambassador, His Excellency Carlos Bastarreche.
The Economic Secretary to the Treasury, John Glenn, President of the Spanish Chamber of Commerce, querido Eduardo, Lords, Members of Parliament, patron members, guests and friends, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to begin by thanking our guest of honor, John Glenn, for being with us tonight at this dinner. We are aware of Mr. Glenn's demanding agenda and that he had to make some important adjustments, but I'm sure it's certainly worthwhile because our companies and guests will find very valuable your messages, especially tonight, so thank you very much again. It's right to say that this is one of the main gatherings of the Spanish companies in Britain. We are more than 200 participants at this dinner, which sets a new record. The number leads me to mention another person who deserves our recognition, the President of the Spanish Chamber of Commerce, Eduardo Barrachina, not so young, and more experienced than he says. Thank you very much, Eduardo, for your words before, and thank you for your commitment to taking the Spanish Chamber of Commerce to ever higher levels of excellence and useful service for the Spanish companies in Britain. As Honorary President of the Spanish Chamber of Commerce, I feel proud of this institution and of the whole team who work hand in hand under your leadership. Congratulations and thank you all. As you know, it's my duty in this speech to introduce our guest of honor, and I will do it with pleasure. But before, as I do every year, allow me this opportunity to share with you some thoughts about our bilateral relations. As I look back on this year, I see our two countries, Spain and the United Kingdom, further strengthening our bonds in spite of the uncertain times we are living in. Bilateral trade in goods and services grew around 5% in 2018 when compared with last year, although there are signs that our export of goods to the UK are at lower performance than the rest of the world this year. We reach again an impressive figure of 60 billion euros of trade between our two countries in both goods and services. The stock of reciprocal foreign direct investment between Spain and the United Kingdom rose by 4.3% in 2017, amounting to more than 137 billion euros. Spanish companies in the UK and British companies in Spain provide more than 300,000 direct jobs in our countries. This is an outstanding figure that was highlighted last February when both Chambers of Commerce presented in the Embassy the first barometer on Spanish investment in the UK, with the participation of DIT that is with us tonight. Finally, this year we have good news for Spanish companies in public markets, as since May 2018 they have been awarded contracts amounting £7.5 billion mainly in railway infrastructure and rolling stock. In the tourist sector, the total number of Britons who visited Spain is again a splendid figure of 18.5 million, which keeps the United Kingdom as the main country for origin of foreign tourists coming to Spain. Last week, we hosted in the residence, in the embassy, a seminar of real estate investment in Spain, where the speakers pointed out the growing number of Britons buying property in Spain since 2017, despite or because Brexit. British is already the first foreign nationality in terms of property ownership in our country. All around, these are very good figures regardless of uncertainty. Inevitably, this word uncertainty takes me to speak about Brexit. I will not dare to enter in domestic politics. It's not for me to make any judgment, not any forecast, and let alone to show any preference. Anyway, let me say that despite all complex challenges we are facing, both British and Spanish society are amongst the most developed, modern, and vibrant democracy of our planet. Therefore, we should be able to find the appropriate response. Nevertheless, this does not mean that we are not aware of the risk. As everybody, we listen, and it's evident that the perspective of no-deal exit is now, in theory, as the rating agencies call it, the central scenario. Because it's not realistic to believe that the withdrawal agreement could be renegotiated, neither on substantial issues, not before the 31st of October. So, I will limit myself to say that we have seriously undertaken all the necessary preparations for such a possibility. We, of course, still hope for the best, but current circumstances lead us to prepare for the worst. Earlier this year, our government approved a statutory instrument of a contingency measure for such an eventuality. Amongst others, and very important, a whole set of rules in this instrument provides full reassurance to British citizens living in Spain, as all the rights they are enjoying currently as EU citizens will be unilaterally guaranteed by our country. Of course, we expect that the same treatment will be granted to the Spanish citizens living at present in UK. The Royal Decree includes other measures in the economic sector to, let's call it, damage control, mainly directed to customs, connectivity, public markets and finance. However, it would be unfair to be only negative. Spain and Britain have been able to successfully negotiate during this difficult year. We have reached relevant agreements on issues such as reciprocal voting rights in local elections, as well as 4 memoranda of understanding and a bilateral agreement on fiscal issues regarding Gibraltar, which proved not to be, at least on this occasion, a stumbling block. Ladies and gentlemen, these figures reflecting the excellent state of our bilateral relations are very important, but there are other images that help to engrave the strength of our bilateral partnership in our people's mind. Some days ago, I was a privileged witness to King Felipe VI of Spain being invested as Knight of the Most Noble Order of the Garter by Her Majesty the Queen at a splendid ceremony in Windsor. This prestigious and iconic event closes a chapter which was opened during the very successful state visit on a Spanish royal couple to the United Kingdom in July 2017. Another very important institutional support to strengthen our bond has been the relationship between the British Parliament, which is exceptionally represented here today, and I thank you very much to my Lords and MPs. On the one hand, allow me to remember the warm hospitality provided by the House of Lords to members of the Chamber earlier this year, for what I would like to thank its senior Deputy Speaker, Lord McFall. On the other hand, we continue to consolidate the British-Spanish All-Party Parliamentary Group. This friendly group is a cornerstone of our bilateral relation, and I want to express my gratitude especially to its chairman, Chris Bryant, and other members who are here today for their dedication to build close links between our two countries, and as well for their help in giving a real image of Spain, a modern, democratic, decentralized and fully compliant with the rule of law country that sometimes is not portrayed as such in some British media. The time has come for me now to introduce our guest of honor, the Economic Secretary of the Treasury and City, Minister John Glenn. He was born in Bath. Applause. This is for Bath or for John? He was born in Bath. It's a beautiful city of which we, by the way, many of us keep a very good memories after the celebration of the British-Spanish tertulias in 2017. He belongs to the generation of young politicians who are now in power, but his path to success has not been without effort. May I call you a self-made man? He was the first person in his family to go to the university, and he has been committed simultaneously to both professional practice and his education in some of the most prestigious universities like Oxford and Cambridge. His professional career has been divided between spells working for the private and the public sector. In the private sector, he was focused on strategic consulting and research roles, as for example, when he managed a central relationship with the World Economic Forum and he attended Davos during 3 years. Those are the areas that he has developed as well in his public roles and that have provided him with the so necessary strategic vision to be a good politician. A convinced conservative since he was a student, he was one described as a full-spectrum conservative, which we could maybe compare to the one-nation conservatism conceived by Disraeli. I'm sure he will be able to tell us more later. Ms. Glenn is a Member of Parliament since 2010 and he was being successfully re-elected in 2015 and 2017. He has worked with top politicians like William Hague, Philip Hammond, and Sajid Javid, and maybe in the short term we will see him appointed to a similar position like the ones of those he worked for. We all wish him a very brilliant future. After a brief period as the Minister for Arts, Heritage and Tourism in 2017, he returned to the field I think he likes best, finance, and in January 2018 he was appointed Economic Secretary to the Treasury and City Minister, which he currently holds. As Economic Secretary to the Treasury and City Minister, John Glenn has responsibility for banking and financial services policy, including that related to Brexit. I believe that these are realms of the almost direct interest for many Spanish companies in the United Kingdom, if not for all. He also is very concerned with social issues and is involved in many charities and groups focused on hunger and food poverty, learning disabilities, on vulnerable people. And last, I have read that before the referendum, he described himself as a reluctant Remainer. Maybe he will tell us he will describe himself today now. John, you have the floor.